right, welcome everybody. Bruce here, Bruce Rodriguez, Swarmstead Bees and Gardening, with another riveting installment of just live reactions, reviews, responses to videos. Unfortunately, I'm responding again to the same YouTube creator who just continues to I don't know what to even call it. Confuse and just make it up as they go along, talking about treatment-free beekeeping. And like I said on my live stream last night or the day before with Kevin England, I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. I don't care what anybody does with their bees. It's nice to see treatment-free beekeepers. I'm doing stuff, doing well. It's nice to see that, but I don't care what they do. I don't care what anybody does. But when I do decide to jump in is when people totally just misrepresent what treatment-free beekeeping is, or they just flat out bash it. In this case, this creator here, I've already talked about them before. Let me put it up here. Where is it? Bee Fit Beekeeping. I'll make it a little smaller. To clarify, like I said before, also, when this channel's videos first came across my feed on YouTube, I was excited about it. I said, cool, look at this. Somebody gonna do treatment-free beekeeping, another nice treatment-free beekeeping channel. I've already said this before. And so it just became confusing when vaporizers were shown and how to do brood breaks and all this stuff. That's not treatment-free beekeeping. So I leave comments constantly, looking like a damn weirdo over there trying to leave comments. Just telling this creator, like, you're not a treatment-free beekeeper. Stop doing this. Like, just learn what it is first. Stop trying to teach this. You don't do it yet. They don't listen. They don't respond. They don't say anything. So then this video comes up. So I watched most of it. I'm going to watch it here again. And I'm going to be stopping it constantly because this video is just bad. It's a bad representation of beekeeping, period. But treatment-free beekeeping, it's even worse. This isn't treatment-free beekeeping. It's giving treatment-free beekeepers a bad name. The results of this are probably going to be bad. I don't know. I don't hope they're bad. I hope things go well. It's just not treatment-free beekeeping. Just be to this creator or to anyone who wants to create content, just be honest with yourself. If you're doing things to fight pests in your hive, mites is what we're talking about all the time. If you're doing anything to fight mites intentionally with any type of substance, whether you call it a chemical or not, whether it's sugar, whether it's an acid that's naturally occurring in a plant, it doesn't matter. If you're doing it, you're setting your bees up to not have to do it. So it's a treatment. So I'm not going to waste your time hearing me talk anymore. We'll just play a little bit. So this title here, let me see. Does that make me smaller? Sorry, I'm not great at this. Okay. If you look at the title up at the top of the screen, first of all, clickbait just annoys the living hell out of me. Varroa mites, capital letters. How to be a treatment-free beekeeper. Beekeeping 101 beekeeping. Trying to hit the algorithm. Trying to come up in search. When someone looks up treatment-free beekeeping, they're going to get this nonsense. I don't know. Maybe, do what you want on YouTube, anybody. Any of you guys, just do whatever you want. Something more honest would have been like, I'm learning how to be a treatment-free beekeeper. And then listen to goddamn treatment-free beekeepers when they tell you something. Doesn't have to be me, but like, man, do some research somewhere. None. All right, let's get it started.
Hello, There is this great debate in the beekeeping community.
I'm gonna stop it like every second because I'm not trying to get hit with any type of copyright nonsense. There's not a debate. There's not a debate. I don't think she even gets to a debate, but um, the debate may have been what does treatment free mean? It's not a debate. It's defined by its own title. You don't. I don't get to make up my own definition of it. No one else just gets to just make it up. You can't be most of the way or halfway. You're just either you are or you just aren't.
That all of us have heard or taken part in, and that is, don't say it too loudly, otherwise people might get upset. And that is treatment free. I didn't just say that.
All right, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I say it loudly. I could give a shit what anybody says. So this little kind of trying to make it look controversial is silly. This only goes on for a second here. There's the channel. Everybody go visit, go subscribe.
Okay, all jokes aside, okay, we all know that for some people it can really ruffle your feathers talking about treatment free, but I've seen so many people and I've had so many people ask, hey, I really am thinking about going treatment free, but there's no information out there on how to.
Oh, all right. So yeah, let's stop there. I don't see that in the comments. I don't know where. Not calling anybody a liar, but I see the comments and all the videos. I don't see anyone asking this. There's plenty of information out there. There's a ton of information. There's a Facebook group with 62,000 people in it. there's YouTube channels. There's websites. There's books. This individual hasn't probably read any of those. I can't tell at all by anything they say in these videos. There is a ton of information out there. A lot of it's bad. A lot of it's really good though. There's a lot of really good books. There's definitely a ton of information out there. So that's a cop out, and it's ridiculous.
Do it. And it really seems that whenever you ask another beekeeper it, they just look at you like you're crazy. So today I'm going to tell you guys exactly how to go treatment free successfully.
Okay, so maybe if we were looking at somebody who has been a treatment free beekeeper for a few years, a decade maybe, I could expect to hear something. This beekeeper is in their third year, I believe. Let's just say it's the fourth. I don't think it is, but third year. First year, probably, I wouldn't say that counts for anybody. First year is just a joke for anyone. Second year, total treater. Just watch the channel. Just look at the channel. Look at the old videos. It's all treating. And then there's this. If this is where we are, if this creator still doesn't know what treatment-free beekeeping means, then that leads me to believe that there has never been any treatment-free beekeeping done by this beekeeper. So to tell your audience how you're going to tell them how to do it successfully, like first have some success at all. Like first do that. Then maybe some success keeping bees without treatments. Then after a couple of years, come out and make a video. Instead of just pushing this content out of just, I don't even know what it is. Let's go.
Okay, so the big disclaimer that I first want to say when it comes to being treatment free. Oh, one of these bees is not happy that I'm over here talking, and it's gonna have to deal with it. And that disclaimer is when it comes to being treatment free, or in all honesty, all of beekeeping, everything is trial and error, and everything is just based off of how you beekeep in your own environment. There's so many different ways to do things. So everything I explain today is just something I'm going to explain of my own experience and what I've seen in my own yard and what has actually been successful. So
I don't know what that means. All of beekeeping is trial and error. It's not really saying anything. Yeah, there's several ways to do many things, of course. everywhere in life there is. Um, People want to say in beekeeping, oh, there's not infinite ways of doing everything. There's just not. There's a limited ways of doing things. But as you see, she's about to tell us her quote unquote her definition. Big red flag.
Let's get to it. So, first, I'm going to define my definition of treatment free because there's a little bit of a gray area.
No, there is not a gray area. Um, anyone who says let me tell you my definition of anything really, but since I do treatment free beekeeping, and a lot of people I know do it, when they have to make up their own definition, it's a big red flag because you know that it's gonna not fit. Um, I can't just make up, let's say I'm gonna do a race and I tell you I run marathons, and then I just say, well, my definition of a marathon is 10 miles, so I've done a bunch of marathons. You don't get to make up what the definition of a marathon is. A marathon is a certain distance. It's 26.2 miles. You can't do 15, 18, 20 and call it a marathon. It's a certain distance. You don't get to make up your definition of it. Treatment-free beekeeping, as the words say, it's beekeeping without treatments. Period. That's it. A treatment is fighting a pest. The word treatment has a million definitions, of course, but for this purpose, it's fighting against or doing the fighting for your bees against the pest.
And some people say that even just requeening a hive can be considered a treatment.
Doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what random people say about this or that. As I said before, I have a viewer who doesn't understand this, but when you the queen gives the genetics to all the bees in the hive. Okay, once you take that queen away and replace it with a different one, an unrelated queen, you've now totally ended the life of that previous colony. No, they don't die, but there's no genetics from that queen going to be passed on. So essentially, they're dead. So that's not a treatment. It's not really letting the process work. You're not trusting the process. You're not letting things play out. You're just starting over again. So it wouldn't really be a treatment. It's just not really doing the right thing. I mean, in my opinion, that's my opinion.
But the way I'm going to consider treatment free is that you are not using any chemicals in your hive.
So there's the big one. There's the one I'm constantly hearing every day in the Treatment Free Facebook group. If anybody's here from that, you're gonna have to click into YouTube to leave a comment. I can see I haven't had comments yet, but this live wasn't really announced with much notice. This whole chemical free, no one gives a crap if something is a chemical or not. If you put rhubarb leaves in your hive, it doesn't matter. Rhubarb leaves are a thing that just exists. You're trying to fight a pest with that thing. Does it work? No, probably doesn't do anything. Doing sugar shakes, does it really work? I don't know. I've never done it. It doesn't matter. You're still treating. Doing brood breaks, that doesn't involve a chemical or anything. It's just a mechanical manipulation, but it's a treatment. You as a human are going in and making decisions to try to fight mites in your hives, in your hives, and your bees need to do everything themselves, or you're holding their hand, just like with any treatment. So treatment free is not chemical free. And chemical free doesn't even exist anyway. You either treat or you don't.
Now, you're still going to have to manage your bees in certain ways so that you can help cut those mites down.
So that language is hysterical to me. It's hilarious. This creator here and many people are so afraid of just saying you're going to have to treat. They tiptoe, dance around, they beat around the bush by saying you're going to have to manage your bees in such a way that you knock the mites down. Just say you're going to treat your bees. You can't dance around that. You can fool a bunch of dummies with that language, but that's hilarious. You're going to have to manage your bees in such a way that you're treating. Period.
Now, some people would call that a treatment, but the reason I'm not calling that, at least in my definition, is because, okay, say you were to have a hive and you were to just leave it alone and have absolutely no intervention from a beekeeper. During one
I don't know what kind of where we're going off the rails here. So this is not good. This individual is going to suggest treating, and now we're talking about what if you just put some bees somewhere and you just never intervene, which means, does that mean inspecting? Because treatment-free beekeepers are perfectly allowed to inspect their bees. They're allowed to do whatever they want to look at them. You can feed your bees, you can move them, you can try different frames and lids and bottoms and do whatever the hell you want. It's just intentional fighting of mites, which you can do. You're just not a treatment-free beekeeper if you do that. So I don't know where this story is going. Let's just take a ride here with this. That hive is going to be
1 year season, that hive is going to requeen at least 2 to 3 times. They're going to send out at least a couple swarms, and then they might even try to requeen sometime after the summer solstice. So, keeping that in mind, now compared to the way that we beekeep, we try to keep our bees from ever swarming.
okay. Still don't get the point. Um, if you were to catch a swarm, whatever, buy bees, get some bees, put them into a box, and just don't even touch them. Like, don't split. Don't. I don't know what the point is there, but yeah, they're gonna swarm a few times. Um, so I don't know what the point is there. She says we never want them to swarm. Well, who's we? You're talking about? Are you talking about commercial beekeepers who are pinching their pennies like manhole covers to keep all their bees in their boxes and really not doing a good job of it? Um, totally unrelated to 99.9% of this person's audience and mine.
So we don't even give them an opportunity to requeen. And on top of that, we try to make queens live as long as they possibly can.
No, I mean, I do. I like when they live several years. I do, but again, I don't know who we is. So many beekeepers that I see are requeening every year, maybe every six, twice a year, maybe every other year at the most. Um, I don't know where this person's getting this from.
We try to make queens live to like 3 or 4 years. And for a beehive, this might not necessarily be the most beneficial thing unless you're moving her around a lot.
What? Just what? Man, maybe older queens, I guess sometimes they slow down and aren't as great as the first year queens. Anybody would agree with that. To me, I don't really care. My 3-4 year old queens were fine, but that's a tangent. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, maybe they're not as good as new ones, but what does that have to do with it? Moving them around a lot? What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. I don't see any. This person here is acting like a commercial beekeeper trying to raise 1,000 queens. Supposedly, that's that was pretty much a promise a few videos ago. This person, their partner, were going to raise 1,000 queens for sale. They're gonna keep 100 colonies and some other crazy, insane goal. I don't know what it was. So they're trying to be commercial beekeepers, and I don't know what commercial beekeepers maintain 3 and 4-year-old queens. I don't know.
Not saying that having an old queen is bad, just saying you will have to move her around if you want to keep her, keep a treatment-free kind of mindset and whatnot. So why do we even treat to begin with? So as you guys know,
Yeah, still don't get it. It doesn't do any good asking in the comments either. Moving around, the way I kept my queens, first of all, I marked them very clearly, different colors that had nothing to do with the year. I had like fluorescent green and pink and fluorescent blue, so that they stood out real well. And then I just kind of took brood away from them and took honey away from them just to keep them small and manageable, and always had empty combs for my older queens to lay in. I didn't have to move the hive around. Yeah. So exactly like a breeder queen. That's the way I think of all my queens really, but certain ones, especially the 2, 3, 4-year-old ones, it's like a breeder queen. You're trying to keep her still, trying to keep her in place. Maybe you could just clip her wings or something. I just didn't get into that. I didn't do that.
we have a really big problem with varroa mites. But also, like I just mentioned, the way that we beekeep, we make it so that our hives always have a queen and that we never let them requeen on their own unless we just completely take out their queen and give them back a mated queen. So they never get that brood break. They never get a time where they don't have a queen that's laying. And that's just going to be.
Well, this is somebody with no experience, because maybe that's how commercial beekeepers do it. But most of us little people have colonies that swarm. We split them. There's plenty of times where they're raising a queen or queenless. It's just so common. It's just not a bit. I don't know who we are that we're all keeping our bees so queen right at all times, perfectly. Who's she talking to?
A breeding ground for mites because mites reproduce in the cells of the bees, of the developing brood, because they feed on the larva. And this is also where they reproduce. This is where they lay eggs, and that's where their baby mites all feed on the larva as well. And then when that cell becomes grown and the bee comes out and emerges, so do all of those mites come with it. So when you're never letting your hive have a natural brood break, you're going to have to treat because you're not creating that pause, that disruption in the mite's breeding cycle. And that's really important. Now,
Yeah. It's just so much words coming at you constantly. There's just constant words just coming, just like a free, what do you call it? Like a flow of consciousness that doesn't really make a ton of sense. Bees have been having periods of broodlessness for a million years. Somebody just came up with a name for it. It's silly. Like we should just, and they call it a break. Like if you go on your lunch break, it's because you're working so hard and you need a break. Or like queens, these bees don't need a break. They'll do these things naturally. We don't call a dearth a nectar break, or or winter a warmth break. I don't know what the hell this is. I think we're gonna get to brood breaks here in a minute.
I have heard some people say, okay, a brood break is great and all, and it might work, but then you're not going to be making any honey. And my response to this is timing is absolutely everything.
Well, and as my good friend Angela Tullerston in the Facebook group, in the Treatment Free Beekeepers Facebook group, said yesterday in a very well written post, I never even thought about the number of workforce you lose from one of these intentional brood breaks, as far as caging a queen, say for 30 days. That seems to be like one of the common time periods people throw around, 30 days. 30 days of a queen not being able to lay eggs, 1,500 eggs a day is about average. So you're talking 45,000 bees. There's a break of 45,000 bees that aren't made. In the summertime, like as they're getting ready to, raise the winter bees and all that shit everybody talks about, that's a heck of a knockdown of bees. If you want to do it, do it. I don't care. I don't do it. It happens naturally a few times in the spring. But the difference is, see, she's going to tell you that you just take your queen away and let them raise emergency queens in July. Okay, I wouldn't do it. The difference is in the spring, they're raising queens while their queen is still in there, and a bunch of them for swarming. It's just different.
As you know, as a beekeeper, timing is so important because everything is timed off of the pollen, the nectar flows, the time of year, the changing seasons, all of that. So you have to time your brood break directly with the bees and how they.
All right, I'm gonna just skip ahead a little bit because I don't want to just watch this whole video. But you can see who it is if you want to go watch the whole thing. Don't mention my name. She's tagged in my community post anyway, so it don't matter. Let's see what's on the screen. It's got to be something. Okay, what is this? But
And that stress is going to cause her to lay really, really heavy because she's now being born into a time where the days are getting shorter and the winter is coming and she's brand new. And she's like, oh my gosh, what if this hive dies? What if it's all my fault? Everything relies on her to make sure she shows up and she.
whoa, what the hell was that? I didn't see that the first time. What if this hive dies? What if it's all my fault? Oh my god, that's called anthropomorphism right there. That is terrible. That's a terrible attribute or a terrible thing for a beekeeper to do. This one professes making the bees like a little person. Oh my god, like what if it's all my fault? Like a little movie. It's bad. This is what causes people to make bad decisions.
She lays for these bees because they don't have much time. So they're going to make her lay really heavy and builds up really, really fast. And I've seen this time after time. And it's actually crazy, crazy cool because it makes it so you're able to kind of like play off of the bees and how they work so that you not only get a really big buildup in the springtime, but you also get a really big buildup in the fall time just in time to hit the fall flow. Now,
Yeah, man. You can tell this is just total inexperience talking because this beekeeper is north of me. Their season isn't even as good as mine. And I can tell you, building up in the fall with a split, yeah, maybe if you're feeding constantly, you might be able to, but I just don't see it happening. Even colonies that aren't split are going to have a hard time getting through the dearth period, which is now, and not getting robbed out and making it to the fall. Imagine if I went out there and just started splitting my bees because of this video, because I want to have a brood break. I'm going to kill everything. I would kill everything because of an inexperienced beekeeper telling me what to do.
the bees have a natural brood break in the wintertime when it's cold because naturally they completely stop the queen from laying and they go into like a sort of hibernation mode when they go into a cluster and just huddle together. And they wait until it hits the winter solstice, I believe, is the day that they start laying again and start preparing for spring. Don't quote me on that. I should probably look up the exact time when they usually flip a switch over. But on a certain day, they start laying eggs again, and that's when they start building up. But they do go through a one.
Man. They wait for the winter solstice, this person said. Maybe some colonies completely stop the queen from laying, but it's pretty well, understood that there's always some small tiny patch of brood somewhere going on. Whatever. I don't know. I'm getting like exhausted.
1 or 2 months, depending on your location, brood break. That's going to help them cut the mites back in the winter time to help prepare for spring. But in order to prepare for winter, when your hive numbers start going down, that is why it's important for you to do your brood break now. And I'm probably going to have a lot of haters for saying this, but I try to be completely transparent on this channel and be completely honest with what I see in the beekeeping realm. And so there's bee havers and there's beekeepers. And what I'm starting to see is that it seems to be that hobbyists are taking on the same technique and styles of beekeeping that commercial beekeepers use. And that's not just
What does one thing have to do with the other? I could go on all day with this, but I just want to get to the part where this professor of beekeeping talks about brood breaks, because beekeepers and she just kind of throws in beekeepers and bee havers as like a weird afterthought, and then talks about how hobbyists are trying to be commercial beekeepers. Yeah, that's definitely, I agree that hobbyists trying to be commercial beekeepers is dumb. I mean, but that's what's going on here, real bad. So I don't. It's kind of hypocritical. Let me get to what's this. They would prefer. What is this?
their hives survive through the winter. Now, maybe some of them they would prefer that, but other ones they don't. It doesn't really make that big of a difference for them if their hives all die, because they could just buy a package, throw them in some hives, and they will just explode. So that's why I say there's a difference between bee havers and beekeepers and the techniques and methods that we both use. Okay, drum roll, please. Now for the juicy details, and that is how exactly you're going to do a brood break.
Yeah, my head is still spinning from talking about commercial beekeepers and what they do. I'm even the comments section over there is like a few people say like, what in the world are you doing? But I'm surprised these bigger channels don't say something. They're just so scared to say anything. So many simps on beekeeping.
Okay, so the key factor that you want to keep in mind is that it takes exactly 16 days from egg to the fully developed bee to emerge from the cell. And the reason that this is important.
Hold on, I got to get rid of these captions because I can't see anything. Okay. Want to change your kind of dismiss that. Okay. 16 days. Okay.
Is because when doing a brood break, your goal is to go until you have absolutely no brood whatsoever left in that hive. So what you're going to do in order to perform a brood break, I have like my notes of thoughts here, so that I can kind of keep organized for you guys and I don't just jump all over the place, because I know sometimes I do that.
Wow, there's notes. Oh my god. Oh man. Let me move ahead a little bit. I'm play it.
But anyways, I'm jumping all over the place again. Here I go. But don't mind me. Okay, so how you're going to do a brood break is you're going to take the queen out of your hive and you're going to put her in, say, a nuke box, like this one over here. And the reason why I say put her in a nuke box and don't put her in a giant deep is because bees perform better in a small space, and she.
Yeah, man. Anybody using Jester nuke boxes for splits anywhere where it rains or does any type of weather or sun is just definitely I don't know what's the word, but they're terrible. Like those are just for someone coming to get a nuke and taking it to their place and taking it out. To keep them in there for any period of time is just a disaster waiting to happen. They're terrible. They're junk. Yeah, they're dumb.
Will build up very quickly when she's in this smaller box versus in a big box that just has way too much space for them. Then they have more space to manage.
Well, it's common sense. You wouldn't. All she's saying is you're just taking your queen away and making a split. You're just making a split. You don't have to put all these words to it. Just make a split is what she's saying. Um, and who would think that you would take a queen and a couple frames and stick it in a 10-frame box? We're just throwing so many words to say totally obvious things.
Manage more space to like temperature control and whatnot. So put your queen and a frame or two of brood and resources in this nuke box. And then you're just going to leave her, let her build up, give her some empty frames, give her some empty comb or foundation to draw out, and she will build up that hive and be happy as can be.
No. Well, now they're dead wrong. Dead wrong. Um, yeah, you take one frame with the queen and one frame of brood, and you give them a bunch of foundation to draw in July, and they're just gonna build up and be happy as can be. Nah, dead wrong. Wrong. It's not happening. I don't know. Not in Pennsylvania. Not in Michigan. It's not happening. There's not enough bees in there. The flow is terrible. Foundation getting drawn in July. Okay, let me see this happen. I hope she does this to all these colonies and actually says something. So yeah, Bruce is back to hating. Yes, I am back to hating. I wouldn't hate if I didn't have so much crappy YouTube content. I bet you get mad when she ignores your comments. I don't get mad. It's very cowardly. I do leave comments just to show that I'm not like faking it. You can. I'm saying it over there. I say it here. I'll say it on anybody's channel. Like let anybody come out with a video like this. It's terrible, and I'll watch it and I'll smash them too. I don't care who they are, but who cares? So when she ignores my comments, I don't know. I've seen her put hearts to replies to my comment, like any of the simps who reply, like James Lee or whoever the other simps are. It's weird to hard to comment and then not respond to it, because I respond to all my comments. Every single one of my comments needs an answer. But yeah, I hope everybody makes splits in July and throws a bunch of foundation on 2 frames of bees. Do it.
I was trying to do a pun there, but didn't really work out. Okay, so now this hive is not going to have a queen in it whatsoever, and what's going to happen is that hive is then going to start making queen cells.
First of all, the hive is the box. The hive isn't doing anything. The hive is just going to sit there and be made out of wood, and it's going to be quiet. Like, do the bare minimum and correctly use the right terminology.
And there's going to be 2 ways, well, actually 3 ways you can go about this. The first way you can go about this is at 1 week, or once you see that all of the queen cells are capped or they're starting to develop, take out every single queen cell that you see. And the reason why I say 1 week is because you don't want there to be any eggs in this colony, meaning they do not have any other option to make a queen.
Okay.
So you're going to go in, kill every single queen cell, and then you can either, 1, introduce a virgin queen, which will then take around 10 to 14 days to go out on a mating flight and come back and start laying again. And during that time, the rest of the brood is going to emerge, and she's going to start laying after the brood has all emerged. They're going to have absolutely no brood left.
Wait, what? This is just the first option that you have. You're going to wait until they make a bunch of emergency cells, tear all them down. And she's talking to hobbyists, I guess, because there's not a damn commercial beekeeper going to listen to this nonsense. There's sure as hell not going to be anybody with more than 5 colonies and 2 years experience going to listen to this nonsense. So for me, if I take this advice, I got to split 85, 90 colonies down. Go through all of them. Knock down cells out of all those bees, and then order a ton of virgin queens from somebody? Or what am I doing? Like, what the hell am I doing? I'm going to risk queen introduction in like mid-July during the dearth when the bees are just pissed off. That would cost so many thousands. How much would that be? thousands of dollars. So much risk for what? For what?
left in this colony. Now, the second way that you can do this, if you don't want to worry about putting a virgin queen in a hive and then waiting
Okay.
for her to come back and then
Yeah.
hoping that she comes back okay, she doesn't get lost or eaten by a bird or
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah. That.
then you could also put in a mated queen at 2 weeks. So the reason I say 2 weeks is because remember, 16 days is how long it takes from egg to emergence of a bee. So at 14 days, you would put in a mated queen. She's not going to start laying right away because of the stress and the transportation, and she also is going to have to gain some weight before she can start laying some eggs again.
Wow. Okay. So she's telling me that for 16 days from egg. So this beekeeper thinks that when you take the queen away, the bees are gonna wait 3 days for an egg to turn into to emerge to hatch. They're gonna wait 3 days for an egg to hatch before they start raising queen. Well, that's wrong. They're gonna start right away from an already 3 day, 2, 3 day old larvae. It's not gonna be 16 days. She's gonna have a ton of emergency unmated queens emerging all over the place on like day 13 or 14. So maybe it'll work. 2 weeks, okay. So maybe it would work. I don't know. It will be close. I guess it'll be close. Let's see what happens. Oh, but then, but then you're stuck purchasing. I don't know. However many mated queens, they're definitely not as cheap as uh, unmated queens. So you're going through all that just to be a non-treatment free beekeeper.
Even if she was just taken from a hive and moved within 24 hours, she's still going to lose some weight and she's going to have to regain that to start laying properly. And on top of that, she has to memorize her hive and learn everything about it in one.
What the hell? All right, I almost can't watch anymore. She has to memorize her hive and learn everything about it.
Whatnot. So at 14 days, make sure all of the queen cells were gone the week prior. Do another check just to make sure you didn't miss anything, and that there's not a virgin queen running around or anything like that. And put a mated queen into the hive. And then at that time, what's going to end up happening is the reason this brood break works is when she starts laying again. So hold on, let me back up a little bit.
Oh man,
So
I've heard this. I still haven't heard anyone explain this brood break situation the same way. Apparently, these mites go so nuts that they just want to go into cells so bad that they like rush in all at the same time, and then they all get cramped in there, and then they all starve. Some weird explanation. I don't know who made that up. You know what? The bee man, as much of a goofball as this guy can be, you're damn right. I torture myself watching bad YouTube all the time. You have no idea. This isn't. I almost said this isn't the worst one. It's a tough. It's a. They're fighting for the bottom spot. A few people, and this is definitely one of them. But yeah, I do watch them as much as I can. I missed a bunch of this creator's videos. There's probably 3 or 4 I missed, but this one, of course, I had to deal with because it has my beekeeping style right there in the title.
when all of those mites were in the cells, they were underneath the cappings of that brood. And that's the reason why you need to wait, because once that brood emerges, all of the mites will then come out with it. And that's exactly what you want, because those mites will have nowhere to go except for on the bees. Now you're thinking, oh, okay, but now they're making the bees weak. But that's why we're doing this in July, because we're not making winter bees until August.
What? Yeah, I don't know. She kind of says that they will make the bees weak and make the bees weak, but don't worry about it because they're not making the winter bees yet. If they're weak, like what kind of winter bees are they gonna make? I don't know. Do I think she's... Don't even go there. That's funny though.
But okay, I'm getting off track again.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is you have all these mites on the bees. Once that new queen starts laying, yes, you're going to end up sacrificing your first round of brood, but all of those mites, their main driver is to reproduce. So they're going to then flood all of the cells that have larvae in it once they reach the correct age, and they're going to flood them and start feeding on the larva. Once that larva grows a little bit, that cell will become capped. But what happened during that time is that because there was only so much larva, but there was all of these mites that had came out of the brood and were on the bees, there's going to be more mites per cell than there normally would be.
Yeah, so I don't want to keep letting it play forever, but supposedly they crowd it too much and then they starve or something. And then they all die, and then there's like no mites in the hive anymore. That's treatment free beekeeping. No, it isn't. I don't know if I got this far. I don't believe she opens a hive at all. Just talks the whole time. This could have been done sitting down at a table.
So you literally completely eliminate all of the mites in your hive. So yeah.
No, you never even do that. You never even do that with actual treatments.
Yes, you're going to end up sacrificing your first round of brood, but then after that, all of your brood's going to be able to produce and grow healthily. Healthily? I don't even think healthily is a word. But they're going to be able to grow and be really strong without any interference from mites feeding on them. And like I kind of briefly mentioned on a little tangent earlier, the reason this is important to do this now is because once it hits August, your bees are going to start making winter bees. And you want those winter bees to be as strong as possible because there's something in there.
Well, we don't really have to watch any more of this because it's just she just goes on to just regurgitate stuff about vitellogenin and just stuff that has always been going on. Vitellogenin has always existed. Mites have always fed on fat bodies. It doesn't matter if Sam, whatever his name is, just recently discovered that. Okay, he discovered it, but the mites always did it. It doesn't really matter. Doesn't change anything. Just like the mites are in the drones. That doesn't, like I talked with Kevin England the other day. Okay, so mites are in the drones. So what? So there they are. So now what? What do you do differently? Nothing. I mean, if you're a treatment free beekeeper, you do nothing differently. Like this is all just comical, weird entertainment on the side to see these treaters just like do acrobatics to try to explain how things work and what happens inside of a cell. It's silly. Yeah, so the acrobatics are hilarious. I'm just gonna X out of this. I kind of watched a lot more than I wanted to. I hate doing these videos where people just totally ruin what treatment free beekeeping is. You got a bunch of clowns that are gonna think that that's how you do things, and I'm gonna do my best to just try to clean up their mess, total wreck. And I'm gonna, unless somebody has some type of thing they want to talk about briefly, I'm gonna be popping off of here. Let me see. There was I have a guest tomorrow, which you guys are gonna pass out when you see it. I'm not saying who it is. I know at least a couple of my viewers are gonna absolutely pass out, but we'll see how it goes. It's not gonna be live because I don't need all these interruptions. But all right, thanks for watching, everyone who hung out. You're gonna want to see the next one. Take care.